Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, January 26, 2022 edition of our live Transportation Lean Forum. Thank you for joining. We have some additional folks joining on, and we will welcome them also. Transportation Lean Forum is supporting the home team. I'm Gary Dansuch. I'm Director of Process Improvement at the Colorado Department of Transportation, and we support the home team in a lot of ways. In Denver, we root for our home teams, including the Denver Nuggets, who are doing wonderfully well here in Colorado, and I'm proudly wearing their logo. We have a logo for the Transportation Lean Forum. I want to call out one of the Transportation Lean Forum members who developed it, Ginger Klaska. Ginger's a former CDOT intern and a current CDOT fellow. Our logo brings us together. Our teleconferences bring us together for our purpose and our vision. Our purpose and our vision is to provide a community for transportation agencies across the world to share and support each other regarding lean and continuous improvement. Thank you for everybody who are participating today. That's our mission, and I believe we have a terrific program today, including an open forum where we can ask each other questions. A terrific program today that supports that vision. Next. And it truly is a worldwide effort. We have folks from North America and Europe. You can see where we have pins, where there are members. I don't know that we'll have members on from every place today, but we certainly welcome everybody from transportation agencies and related public service agencies that are ringing in today. Thank you for participating today and welcome. Next. A few quick housekeeping items. Please mute your phone or microphone. It helps us keep background noise to a minimum. Next. However, there will be times when we say, let's go ahead and unmute. So great to have you ask questions. We have two wonderful keynote speakers today. Unmute for those questions. We also have an open forum. Our open forum is an opportunity for any of us to ask each other questions in our community of practice. And to we encourage you to brag about your successes also. Your success in some area of continuous improvement might be somebody else's current problem or issue or challenge that they're facing. So learning from each other and being able to borrow from each other is a great strength of our community of practice. And we encourage you to unmute at those times. Next. And in our virtual world, it's we often have bandwidth issues, so we encourage you to disconnect from your VPN. It helps us to ensure good connection throughout the Transportation Lean Forum webinar today. Next. Our session today is being produced by the wonderful folks at the Arizona Department of Transportation, longtime members of the Transportation Lean Forum here. If you have any technology issues, please reach out in the Google chat bar. And you see our Arizona friends in the chat pane right there, or send emails to these email addresses if you run into any kind of technology issues. Thank you again, Arizona Department of Transportation, for producing today. Next. And we have a wonderful session today. We're first going to hear from the Vermont Agency for Transportation, known as VTrans, then our great friends at the California Department of Transportation, CalTrans there in the Golden State. Then we're going to, and there'll be an opportunity to hear from those presenters and then also ask them questions after those sessions. Then we're going to go into our open forum. Open forum is, again, bragging on your successes. It's an opportunity to provide recognition, as well as somebody might be able to borrow your current successes and help their own success. It's also a place to ask any kind of questions to other folks on the forum. I see that we have 56, now 57 folks, a robust community here, and always willing to engage in discussions on issues of the day. Then we have some quick announcements, and we will close out. Next. And I want to turn it over to Amanda, our very first presenter today from VTrans. Amanda, take it away.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Amanda from, as Gary had said, from the state of Vermont Agency of Transportation. And they asked me to speak a little bit today because we're talking about the innovation life cycle. And what we're doing in Vermont right now is trying to develop and launch an idea intake program, if you will, a way to collect employee ideas, innovations, and successes. And we're trying to put some structure around that and create a platform for employees to submit those, a way for them to be reviewed. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how we're doing that, what we've done to date, and then I'll turn that over to Pauline in California, and she can show you a little bit more about their program, which has been up and running for a while now, and kind of walk you through their success. So you'll have a chance to see it from the idea, the concept, all the way through the actual boots on the ground program. I'm going to do a quick poll first, if you will. Oh, no, that's okay. You can move on to that next slide. I'm going to do a quick poll just to kind of get a sense of our attendees today, how many already have programs or structures in place to collect innovations and ideas. There's 3 questions. The first one is just, do you have a formal process for collecting ideas and innovations? The next is, if you do, have you found it to be valuable? And the third is, if you don't, are you interested in starting an initiative of this nature? So if you need to access the poll and it doesn't pop up in a little pop-up, in the far right corner, there are some shapes. It looks like a triangle, circle, and square. And if you click on it, it will actually expand that up and out so you can participate in the poll. And once you hit vote, you'll be able to see in real time. Okay, so I'll come back to these and continue to give folks an opportunity. It looks like we have several states that do have a process in place currently. Those that do have either found it to be helpful or are not quite sure yet. Maybe it's too early to tell. And then those that don't are interested in starting. So it seems like this is a pretty relevant topic for everyone. So one of the first things that we are doing with our organization is making the case. We're trying to make sure that people understand why it's important to do this, what the value to the organization actually is, and that it's something that we should invest in, not necessarily even with a big monetary ask for a program development, but invest our time and our energy and our enthusiasm into this type of a program. And one of the things that the state of Vermont does is we actually have an employee engagement survey. It goes out once annually in the fall, and there are various questions. It goes to our entire workforce, not just our agency of transportation folks. And it talks about all the different things that make up an employee's work experience. Everything from, do you have the resources you need to do your job, to, do you find that your health insurance benefits are adequate? All of those things. There are also some questions there that speak to an employee's level of engagement and thus their satisfaction and performance, because we do know that there's a strong correlation between the two. There are questions that ask employees about whether or not they feel heard, whether their supervisors and managers and leadership seek out their ideas, whether they have opportunities to provide those ideas. And so one of the things that I did was I actually asked for the folks who do this survey to give me some data as a breakdown based on our different divisions within the Agency of Transportation. And I was able to kind of get a picture of where our workforce is now. And as a baseline, to kind of just see, are people feeling heard? Do they think that they're able to share their successes? And right now, we're really not making tremendous waves with this. It's about 50% say yes. There are some pockets that are less than that. And then in my division, the finance and administration division is actually higher. It's like 70%. We're pretty proactive about innovations in our group, which is great. I'm glad to see that. We want to also do some surveys, which will further give us baseline data about where we are now that dig into this with more specificity. And we have some ideas for a research project as well that we're exploring. So we definitely want to, capture what the baseline is and then use that to inform the conversation about why we're doing this. Next slide, please. So when we're presenting this and making that case and explaining to people, this is how we think this could work, and this is why we're doing it. We have a couple of different things that we use in our conversations. So one is we talk about sort of what's the benefit here? Why are we going to do this? What is this going to bring to our workforce? And we have we've found that this is an opportunity for us to save time and money, build in efficiencies. There are lots of opportunities to increase safety that can come from our employee innovations and successes, save resources, time, energy, money. But it's also that opportunity to highlight the skills and ingenuity of our workforce and build upon that employee engagement. And we know that there are strong correlations between a highly engaged employee and a highly successful, productive employee. So that speaks to that kind of need to build efficiencies and productivity and have a happier, engaged workforce. We see this working with 3 different types or categories of information that we would collect from our employees to meet those goals. One would be challenge ideas. So a challenge idea would be something where a member of leadership or someone within the agency of transportation has a problem statement, or there's something that they want to grow or expand upon, and they issue a challenge to our workforce. And they say, here's what we want to do, or here's the problem we want to solve. What do you suggest? What's your idea? And we collect all of our employee ideas about how to meet that challenge. The next would be improvement suggestions. So this would be when an employee has a problem. There's something that they see because they are the functional experts day to day doing their work, and they see that something's not working or something could be done better. Maybe it is working, but it could just be even better. And they want to submit an idea that they want to explore with the help and guidance of others that have expertise in their functional area. And they just are going to share that with us, like, hey, this is what I want to do. And we're going to help to connect them with a team that can kind of help and support them as they explore that idea more. The third, and really the big goal of our program, is to collect the implemented wins. So this is I had a problem and I fixed it, or I addressed it, or I built upon my success and I made it even better. And now I want to share it with everyone across our agency so that they can build upon this success too. Maybe it's something we can scale and spread from one small garage in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont to all the state garages across, or in any other area of our business. So those are the different areas that we want to collect ideas and innovations. Next slide, please. So when we were looking at creating this type of a program, we knew that we weren't going to recreate the wheel. And we thought it was really important to do some research, and we're continuing to do research. This is very much something that's in process. But we wanted to look at the success of others, which is why having this forum as a resource is such a tremendous value add. I'm so thankful to be here and to have the opportunity to network and learn from all of you. This is just an example of some of the states that we have included in our research and had some opportunities to look at, whether it's just information on their public facing websites, and we've kind of scoured through what they have posted and shared and stalked their online presence to say, let us learn from you, or from those that we've actually had more in-depth conversations with and been able to learn from. Gary in Colorado was really generous with his time and sat down and talked to us about how they got their program off the ground with their lean everyday ideas. And also Claire from North Carolina gave us quite a bit of time as well, and was really helpful talking through the CLEAR program, which we found to be a great model for us in particular, because some of the constraints and challenges that she had talked about with us were ones that we could identify with, particularly things like budget and, size of the team that could support this. We had some constraints to work around, and we wanted to know, what could this look like realistically? We don't have the money to hire a consultant and have someone come in and develop this. We need to do it in-house. What are our options? How can we use what we have now and make this work? So there's some really great information that's already on these organizations' publicly facing web pages. And I just want to, encourage folks, just reach out. I mean, I sent cold emails to people all over the place and just introduced myself and explained that I was inspired by what I had seen on their online presence and I wanted to learn more. And people were so friendly and helpful. So I would say go for it. I'm certainly by no means an expert, but I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time about, what we're doing and some of the early lessons learned and sharing some of our successes. So definitely use those resources and, learn from others. Next slide, please. So we've created a framework for, what would this look like? Who are the stakeholders for this type of a program? Who do we need in our corner, if you will? Because, we can't do it alone. I am the supervisor for a continuous improvement unit within the state of Vermont, and I have a staff of 3 continuous improvement program managers that work for me right now. And we also have partners within our section who do dashboard building and have technological skills and resources. So, we're very lucky, but we're very small. We don't have a huge network of employees that can support this initiative, but it's really important. So we wanted to give some thought to, who we were going to partner with across our agency to make this happen. So one of the first things that we did is started having conversations with our leadership, which is the finance and administration director, our chief of performance, my manager, and talking to them and sharing our passion and enthusiasm and the different things that we had found in our research about why this was important and what benefits we were going to bring to our workforce to get their buy-in. Because anytime we can get leaders to, get behind us, give us a seat at the table for some of those higher level leadership meetings and conversations, it's going to be really important. And we did. They're very enthusiastic and very supportive of us. The other thing that we wanted to do was think about, how are we going to get these ideas? Who are they going to come from? We want to make sure that this is something that's accessible all across our organization, not just within finance and administration and not just within highways. How do we get all the way across AOT to get our folks invested in this and sharing their ideas? So we want to target our general employee audience. We know that to do this, we're going to need some partners, some people to get the word out. So we're referring to them as our continuous improvement, innovation stewards, if you will. These are our passionate champions, the folks across our organization who are going to help share our message. And I'll talk a little bit more about that role in the next slide because it's pretty important. We also have our team, and our team is going to do a lot of the, general overview and management of this. So the continuous improvement team is going to vet that initial submission. And what I mean by that is just making sure that there's enough information. We envision that over time, employees will learn and become familiar with this opportunity and the system and structure that we put in place. But initially, it's going to feel really foreign. So it's highly probable that we'll get things that lack detail or context or, maybe just aren't really the appropriate venue for that type of suggestion, if it's a personnel matter or something. So we're going to do that initial look and talk to employees to clarify things. We'll ask for any missing information. And then also we can use these as opportunities for if there's a project, an actual continuous improvement engagement that we can help and support. Maybe there's some business process mapping, some stakeholder mapping, some other work that we can do that could help them to be successful with this. And if so, my team is happy to do that whenever we can. Then we have our subject matter experts. Now, this is an area of challenge for us in terms of identifying who these folks are and building those relationships. And that's the point of program development that I'm in right now, is doing that work. But how we envision this is for the folks that are submitting problem statements that want to have their idea explored further to potentially be implemented, we're going to partner them with a subject matter expert, someone who has functional knowledge, who could mentor, support them, help vet the idea, and our team will make that initial connection. If it's a very large idea, we're anticipating a lot of small kind of grassroots opportunities coming from this. But if it's a really large idea, we might need to actually have a project team and a project champion. And if so, we'll help our employees to put that kind of structure in place. And after that, if the idea is successful and is implemented, we want to make sure that we're checking in, how is this going long term? And we want to share those wins. So communication is critically important. And then if we need to, in terms of updating business processes, we'll make adjustments to job aids or training to share this and institutionalize it within our knowledge base. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to really quickly dig into the Innovation Stewards a bit more because this is pretty important. As I had said, these are our passionate champions, the people who are going to help us get the word out. And how we envision these folks helping us would be to essentially be conduits of information. So these are the folks who may join us for mini webinars. They may subscribe to, email lists or newsletters with us, and they're going to take this information back and share it with their teams, maybe present it at a meeting, hang up a poster in a garage if that's what needs to happen. These are going to be the folks that help us get the word out. Some of them will be self-identified. So we're putting out a call to action, asking people who are passionate about innovation and continuous improvement, and workforce happiness and engagement to partner with us. But also we have an audience in mind. So the state of Vermont has a training center, our VTTC, Vermont Technical Training Center. And they have a leadership institute that they run annually. And this has an alumni group. This alumni group, they have a shared team site. They do brown bag lunches. They have ongoing conversations. And this is a great source for us to solicit our innovation stewards. So we're going to tap into that group. Next slide, please. The subject matter experts, as I said, these are the folks that I'm working on solidifying now. These are the folks who are going to help us to encourage our innovation efforts, review our idea submissions, potentially make decisions on whether or not something is feasible. And they're going to be our point of contact for both the employee with the idea and for my group as we continue to manage this process. Next slide, please. So this is what we're envisioning in terms of the structure, the technology. How are we going to collect these ideas? Where are they going to live? We're going to use technology that we already have, because as I had mentioned in the beginning, we simply don't have the budget for development of something really large right now. Maybe in the few years if we're very successful, we could upgrade to something a little bit slicker. But for right now, we're going to use Microsoft Forms, and we're going to actually have it collect information and then live in a SharePoint site. We'll create automated workflows that generate emails based on statuses that are selected within the SharePoint site. So that's how our program is going to be structured in terms of collecting the information and then storing the ideas so that we can check back on them and keep a log of statuses and also be able to run reports based on timelines and whatnot. Next slide, please. So we know that communicating and celebrating our wins is going to be a really huge part of whether or not this is successful. And we are very committed to making this be successful. So we're starting to build out a communication plan now to make sure that when we are collecting these ideas and we're sort of identifying that these are workable and we're implementing things, that we're sharing it loudly and often. One of the suggestions that we had gotten from our partners over at CDOT was about using small incentives. They gave us the idea about logoed hats or water bottles or other sorts of things that you can do, and then making it an opportunity to share that with someone in a way where it's almost presented as an award. So a supervisor, shakes their hand and gives it to them in a meeting and thanks them and shares their great idea in that sense. And we thought that was a fantastic idea, so we're borrowing that one. We also have a newsletter, and we're going to continue to use that to share some of our innovations. We have agency-wide webinars. They're called Inside AOT. They're produced by our communications team, and our communications team have agreed to partner with us on this and are very excited, so we can use those webinars as well. And then we have annual innovation awards. So this is something that has been in existence already within our agency, and we're kind of dusting it off and revamping it. But it's a monetary award, a merit award for innovative projects, ideas that are implemented, and it's given annually. Next slide, please. So here's what we need now to get this off the ground. We're looking to launch this within the next fiscal year. So our fiscal year ends June 30th. So July 1 to June 30th. Leadership buy-in and support. We have support from our Chief of Performance and our Finance and Administration Director. I'm going to be presenting this to our more senior leadership team across the agency to continue to drum up that support. Branding is really important. We want to do this well, so we're going to name our program. We may be working with our Chief Marketing Officer on some graphic design for branding work, finalizing our communication plan. We've received authorization for development of that technical site that I had briefly mentioned, where we're using the Microsoft form to SharePoint structure. We need a small budget for our prizes and printed materials and whatnot. And I think we've been given verbally the go, so we'll see about that. And then we need to establish our annual goals using our performance measures. So we want to make sure that we're tracking our success, measuring our success, and then reporting back on that. You know, how many different innovations did we capture? How many were actually implemented? What was the efficiency gained from them? Those sorts of things. Next slide, please. So that's really a very high level, you know, where we're at in trying to develop an idea intake program and innovation collection program. This is my contact information. We are very much in process with this. I'm very thankful to everyone who's supporting this ongoing work that we have. Again, we're hoping to launch later this year, this calendar year, at the beginning of the next fiscal year. And so we're continuing to build our program structure, and I'm just very thankful for all the opportunities to network and learn, and I'm happy to share in any way that I can if it helps another. And I can take questions anytime.
Amanda, that's wonderful. And we're open for questions. So go ahead and unmute and ask questions. If you, for some reason, can't unmute, please put your question in the chat pane, and we'll have one of our producers read that out.
Good morning. So Tiffany has a question for Amanda. Would you be able to share the questions that are posed within your idea intake form?
Sure. That's in development right now, but I'd be happy to. As soon as we get that finalized, if you want to just shoot me an email so I remember to do that, I'd be happy to share that with you.
That's great.
The presentation is available, I think, following this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, if I could add in, and I'll put the link in the chat pane. The presentation, as well as the recording for the entire session, will be on our Transportation Lean Interchange website. It may not be right immediately after, but during the next week or so, we'll have that out there at the link that I just put into the chat pane.
All right, we have a question from Shelley. How are you working between process improvement groups and the technology innovation side of the agency?
So my team is focused on continuous improvement, and we have within my group, so within the performance, strategic initiatives, and continuous improvement section, we have a unit, our performance unit, that is very technologically savvy in terms of developing, Power BI dashboards, using Power Automate, SharePoint skills. So we have partners within our actual section that we can work with on a lot of our technological needs. But to the larger question, we have within state government, we have the Agency of Digital Services that provides technological support for other types of large scale, computer programming and technology needs. In the event that we ever wanted to use a third party program or develop an app or something like that, it would require most likely a larger scale and more detailed collaboration that would probably be more complex and time consuming. I hope that answers the question.
Actually, so what about the homegrown innovation side of transportation? That's more where I was going with it, trying to figure out how you have that interplay between, because I'm in transportation research, and so and I'm also the state coordinator for TxDOT. So I'm just curious, because this sounds great. I'm curious how you would work with that side of the house. When I say innovation, I'm talking about transportation technology innovations.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of this will probably be with our subject matter experts. We're not functional experts. So people are going to come to us with ideas, particularly technological advanced ideas. We think we could do this better, or maybe we need this new platform or new tool, or we've developed this. And my group's not going to necessarily know, but what we can do to add value is make those connections with subject matter experts, and then check in to make sure that those conversations are ongoing, and that they're either, coming to a point where they can implement, or they've decided that they can't. So that's going to be our role in that process, is really just kind of making the connections, and then making sure that it doesn't get dropped, if you will. I mean, people are busy, right? So we don't want it to just get an email that's sent to someone's box and no one follows up. We're going to be the squeaky wheel here that nudges people along and make sure that this is something that's talked about.
Perfect. Thank you.
Gary, do we still have time for additional questions? Because there's a couple more in the chat.
You are reading my mind. Folks, appreciate the questions. Boy, this is robust discussion. I would encourage us to hang on to those questions. I actually just scoop them up and put them in an email to myself so that we come back around to them. Pauline has some wonderful material from CalTrans, and then afterwards we can engage in a discussion with both Pauline and Amanda about the work at VTrans and CalTrans, and then transition into an open session. So let's hang on to those questions. Continue to put those questions in the chat pane. Thanks, our ADOT friends are collecting those questions too. Let's roll on to the presentation from CalTrans. So if we could go next. And I'm going to hand it over to Pauline. Take it away.
Hi, thank you, Gary. I'm excited to present here at the Transportation Lane Forum. I've been on this call or attended several times, so it's nice to have the opportunity to speak. My name is Pauline Valenzuela. I'm the Statewide Innovation Coordinator for CalTrans. And as you'll see as I go through, it's somewhat of a new position to support innovation and creating an innovative culture at CalTrans. We have a lot going on. We're further than, part of the whole setup of today's, is from my understanding, is that Amanda was kind of talking about, the startup of their program. And then I'm to come along and talk about our current program and what we're doing to maintain that program and to create a strong innovation program. So next page, please. So here's kind of our evolution of our innovation program at CalTrans. About in 2015, CalTrans came out with a new strategic plan, and they listed innovation as a priority. And so that definitely kind of gave us a little bit more empowerment, of course, to be innovative. And so about 2016 or so, a small team was established in the director's office to work on innovation. And then about 2018, they decided to start an Innovation Leadership Council. And so that is where you have executive staff on a council to support innovation and talk about innovation. It primarily, the purpose of that council at that time was to support our Lean Six Sigma program and our cohorts, and to get approval for what we wanted to do for that program. And then secondly, we had an innovation intake program, what we call Innovation Station. So they reviewed and approved campaigns to collect ideas through that program. And then in about 2020, that program, or the innovation team at that time, moved to where I sit now, which is the Division of Research, Innovation, and System Information. And so with that move, we had a bunch of changes. And one of those, of course, with the new division chief and office chief, and one of the things that they decided to do, since we are trying to prioritize innovation at CalTrans, is to create what ends up being my position, a statewide innovation coordinator. So someone, we are tasked, my division is tasked with creating this culture of innovation. And to do that, they thought they needed, we need a team, of course, and then also someone whose sole focus is to create that culture and to work with our districts. CalTrans is 20,000 plus strong, which is obviously huge. And we have 12 different districts. And then in headquarters, we have a bunch of different programs, and they all kind of don't talk together, particularly on innovation. So our job is to kind of, we wrote a work plan, and one of the first things was to become the hub of innovation. So, that's part of my role and the rest of my team. In 2020, we expanded the Innovation Leadership Council, where it used to be just the Lean Six program and our ideation program, Innovation Station campaigns that they approved. Now we opened it up to all of innovation. One of their roles is to be game changers for innovation at CalTrans. So we just expanded it to include everything, to include everything under innovation. For us, it gave us more empowerment and it gave us more support from the top. In 2020, one of the things we did was create the Innovation Technical Advisory Committee. So we have the Innovation Leadership Council is executive board members, so the top brass at CalTrans, and there's about 15 of them on the Innovation Leadership Council. So, but of course, we come into a room and we present them with our information and we have some brainstormings and discussion. But by the time we come into that meeting, we have to be prepared and we have to have things planned. So the Innovation Technical Advisory Committee, the ITAC, is where we really work with innovation leaders throughout all of CalTrans, all senior level and above, and that's where we really present our ideas and kind of formulate some campaigns and some plans in preparation for those Innovation Leadership Council meetings and votes. And that has really helped us. In 2020 is when we developed our work plan that we're working off now. And that was, again, to create this hub at CalTrans through several different techniques. And then in 2021, CalTrans just rewrote our strategic plan, and they listed innovation as one of our core values. So again, reinforcing that we have support from the top. And then in 2021, our Innovation Leadership Council, while it was executives on the team, it was never really an official board, an official standing committee under the executive board. And so we did get that finalized, which really, again, just reinforces that power and that commitment from the top. So next page, please. We have a small innovation team at CalTrans, and we get a lot done, but it is a pretty small team. April Mitsos is our office chief, and she probably supports innovation. She has about 3 other branches that she supports beyond innovation, but she does put in at least 50% of her time into innovation, give or take of what we're doing and her other priorities. I'm the senior transportation planner, and my position is full-time. That supports innovation. Tiffany McAllister, she is our Innovation Station Program Manager, our ideation platform, and she is full-time as well to support innovation. And we have Juan Araya, who he supports our federal innovation funding programs like EASY and STIC and so forth. And he has other responsibilities as well, so maybe 50% of his time on that. And then a new position that was started right after mine is our research transportation engineer, and that's Tanya Brunflex. So she is the tie-in to research and really working on research to implementation and writing a work plan and report on that. So she is involved in innovation, but really, kind of on the outside, working with how research moves into implementation. And of course, all that is very innovative. Okay, next page, please. Like I said, we have several layers of advisors. And one of these things, and kind of the idea of this conversation, is to talk about maintaining a strong program. And the best way that we have figured out, or what we believe, is to have that strong Innovation Leadership Council, to have that strong support from the top and the commitment from the top. And what we just recently did is we had last month, I should add it to my timeline, is 2 executive board members just became our chair and vice chair. And so having these CalTrans executive board members on this committee, and they're very, very energetic and interested in innovation. So having them on our committee has made all of the difference. They are just moving and shaking, and they're bringing things to the board, talking to that other idea people. And so we are seeing a huge difference with that, with their involvement in the Innovation Leadership Council, and really that support from the top, and just getting their input from that level, you know, versus where we are, you know. So we have the Innovation Leadership Council. Then we meet every other month. We have the ITAC committee that meets every other month. Our team, we meet weekly. And then we have Innovation Liaisons. And what that is a group of individuals that, you know, and I can't remember, I have a slide on them in here, but a group of individuals that represent each district and program. So I know that Amanda talked about stewards, and this is not necessarily stewards, but they're our point of contact in all of our 12 districts and in all of our programs at headquarters. So we have someone to help us identify subject matter experts, or if we have an innovation question, you know, that is related to their district, we have a go-to person, and they have contacts with their deputy directors or with their innovation committee or whoever it is that they need to speak to get their information. So we have put someone, well, not put someone, they already have positions there. This is just a very small, you know, 10% of their time, not even that, 5% probably of their time to work on innovation. Is when we really ask for something. If we want to send something out to get to their district, we send something to them and they can market it for us. And we just established those in the last 4 or 5 months. So we're really pushing to kind of solidify that role to really help us as we go through. And I'll talk about that in a minute too. And then of course we have our CalTrans employees who we get feedback from and often. So next page, please.
Pauline, Shelley, do you want me to look it up?
You know, right now it does not. So CalTrans stick is, we're in kind of a transition phase with our stick. We want to make some improvements to our stick program. And so right now we have, we're in the kind of developing a work plan, a state on how we're going to improve our stick. We look at other people's, other states and their stick programs, and we really want to get there and grow our stick. So it doesn't at this point, however, we have talked about our Innovation Leadership Council being part of the board for our stick at CalTrans. So it will, but right now we really aren't. Unfortunately, our stick is not very robust, and we want to make that, and then we will use the council for that, along with other outside members that are required for their stick board. Okay, next page. Oh, okay, so I talked about innovation liaisons, and one of the ways by having them, similar to Amanda, like I said, her innovation steward, is we have liaisons in every single district and program. And so what they do is they share their program, their activities with headquarters, or innovation activities, and such as fairs and campaigns. They help us connect with subject matter experts in their districts and programs. And we have an innovation exchange repository, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We haven't even launched it yet, but they will be some key people in helping us get innovations into the innovation exchange repository, as well as maintaining their innovations for their district or program. And they're a central point of contact for any innovation questions. And then they also participate in the Innovation Technical Advisory Committee meetings. And so we have those meetings are both the innovation liaisons and innovation technical, or ITAC members. And so they're part of the conversation, the innovation conversation from the beginning. Next page, please. The way that communication flows at CalTrans for innovation is we have our team, and we work directly with CalTrans employees, and we work directly with the innovation liaisons and the ITAC. And then, of course, the CalTrans employees also, as the innovation liaison role grows, they will learn, or hopefully, to reach out not just to us, the I team, but also to their innovation liaisons for anything regarding innovation, and they can reach out to us. And then any message that we have for employees, we can reach out to the innovation liaisons who therefore contact the employees. The big thing here is in white, the CalTrans Executive Board. So the empowerment from the top, from our executives. We primarily, that Innovation Leadership Council is that tie-in to the Executive Board. So we have, we just presented at our Executive Board a couple weeks ago. And so we have that opportunity now through them. We have about 15 members on our Innovation Leadership Council, but getting in front of our director and our chief deputy is where we take it to the CalTrans Executive Board. Next page, please.
We actually have 2 questions in the chat. Please describe how your innovation program relates to your Lean Six Sigma program.
It's unfortunately right now our Lean Six program is also in sort of a transition period. We had a somewhat robust program that was managed by one of our employees, and he recently just left. He did an out-of-class rotation and then has left. So our Lean Six program is right now a little stagnant. They were involved in our Innovation Leadership Council. Anything that, any campaigns that not campaigns, but any cohorts or anything that we did with our Lean Six program did go through the Innovation Leadership Council. But right now we have a little gap. We just had a meeting yesterday to talk about efficiencies and, how we plan to do it, whether it's through our, our Lean Six program. But right now, we really don't have a lot of activity on that program because we don't have a manager leading that effort. Everything, our Lean program and innovation is pretty small, and we just had one manager over Lean Six, and he handled everything. So with him stepping away, it's really kind of put a little stop on that. But we are reviewing how, our efficiencies program. And it will be part of innovation, or we'll have it will most likely be someone on our team. So we'll have that close connection and communication, will be part of it, and, probably utilizing innovation liaisons. But at this point, we don't, it's a tough question to answer for us just because our program is in transition for our Lean Six with needing to identify a new manager and maybe a new process.
Okay, we got 2 more. Are the innovation liaisons self-selected or assigned by leadership? How do you assure engagement?
It is, they are assigned by leadership. So that was one of the things that we need the leadership or their managers of their division or district to allow them to spend a few hours a month, on maybe 5 hours a month on innovation. So it had to come from leadership. We couldn't just do a call because then it would take hours away from their time, and we'd need manager support on that. So it did come from leadership, and we also wanted to get leadership involved. And so by asking them to assign someone, they knew of this role and they knew the importance of this role, and then they assigned someone. So no, it is they are assigned by leadership. And assuring engagement that's definitely a tough one. I just set up meetings for all of 2022 every other month. We send them direct communications, and we try to engage with them. But it is tough. Some are definitely really engaged. I'm sure just within all offices, all companies or organizations, some are really engaged and some aren't. So we do struggle with that, but it's just the continual communication and setting up meetings, and then also they're playing a crucial role in some of what we're doing. So, giving them some ownership over some exciting things, hopefully will help.
We do have one more, but I kind of think you're going to answer that in a couple of the next slides. So we're going to hold off on that one.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, next slide. Here are some of the things that that are part of our program, our CalTrans Innovation Program, and things that we've worked really hard on establishing over the last couple of years. First one is our Innovation Exchange Repository. That is where we are storing are implemented innovations. So these ones have already been vetted and implemented. It's not an idea platform. It is a repository of all innovations that we want to share with all of CalTrans. We have a big problem with 20,000 plus people. We have a problem, people in District 1 doesn't, has no idea what people are doing in District 11. And so we are, by creating this innovation hub on our team, one of the things is we need to get those innovations out there to share, knowledge sharing, and instead of reinventing the wheel, in Southern California versus, they can share with Northern California, and we can do the same thing. Odds are, if you're having a problem here, they're also having that same problem there. So it's a way to kind of break down those silos and share information. So we've been working hard on that. We are having a message sent directly from the director to all CalTrans. We've sent a message to, we have, good marketing campaign. Our managers, our managers will send out emails to their staff, and we have a big communication plan for that. And then innovation liaisons will assist with inputting innovations, their district's innovations into that. So it's really to capture and share all of our innovations in there. So we are excited about that, and I think it'll make a big difference, because right now we don't have a single a single platform for everyone to use to view, and it'll be searchable, so they can search innovations by keywords. And that will be through our innovation station. Our ideation platform will also house that. As far as communication, which I think might be that message, the chat message or question, we do have monthly messaging. Every month we send an email out to all of CalTrans that's related to innovation. We have a kind of current look and feel for those, but we are working on our branding right now, which I'll speak about in a minute. But we do have a monthly message, and then we have a quarterly newsletter that goes out. And that one, we just rebranded that, and we are using Sacramento State as a resource. We have a contract with them, and so they're working on a quarterly newsletter that used to be just internal, and just last issue went out, I think it was October, went out externally as well. So we were able to share that with our external partners outside of CalTrans. And then we were working on an annual report for innovation, and it's our first one that we are doing. We're putting that together now, and it should be, we're hoping to get it out in January, but I think it's going to be definitely pushed back a little bit. But we're doing our first annual innovation report. And then we are creating, through our contract with Sac State, a website, a resource for all things innovation. We're calling it CalTrans Innovates, and it'll be, caltransinnovates.org, I think is what we're purchasing, but it's not up yet. But we do plan to have both for internal and external partners. We plan to have everything about our innovation program. Our ideation platform, Innovation Station, will link there, and any resources that we offer, and just any information. So we are excited about that, and it'll look, nice and pretty, and hopefully we'll market that like crazy and get some attention. And then we also really want to push video creation. I know some states are really great at, putting out those videos, and they do make an impact. They're just 2 to 3 minute videos, and they're just fun, and it's a great way to share information. So we will be working on creating several videos over the next couple of years. So we are trying to establish an awards program, an incentive program. CalTrans has an award called the Superior Accomplishment, and we can use that to provide an incentive or an award, an innovation award to CalTrans. So we're establishing that. We also utilize WashTow, and it's about $3,000 that we get every year, and we provide. We break that into, however, we do a vote, and we call for submissions, and then we award, 2 to 3 people the award, some portion of that money just as an incentive, and as a, it's everyone loves to receive awards. So just as an incentive program, we do offer that. Innovation Station, that's our ideation platform. We use a platform called Bright Idea, and that's where we run any of our campaigns through Innovation Station. It's a very sophisticated program. Tiffany McAllister is an expert on it, on our team. She's really invested a lot of time, and it also has a pipeline. You can put a campaign in there, someone can put, and then you can direct it where it's going to go. If somebody puts an idea, it can go here, and then it moves through a process, and it's all automated. It's really nice and sophisticated. So that's pretty robust. Talking, and I know, Amanda, you're working on an ideation platform, and just kind of when you were talking about it, running campaigns, when we first initially, I wasn't here at the time, but the first kind of push for innovation ideas, we got something like 400 ideas. So we learned very quickly that we can't just do an open call, that it has to be run by a specific campaign, because then it becomes manageable. If you only ask for safety related or whatever it is, campaigns, then if you do an open call, you just get so many. And the best thing, or the important thing on any platform, is that you follow up, and you have follow through, because when they submit an idea and no one responds, it's very disheartening, and then they lose faith in the program. So but yeah, so it's a very sophisticated program. We're using it. We're allowing our districts to use it for any of their calls, for projects, or also. So we use it enterprise wide, and then it's also a tool that our districts and offices can use for any idea collection that they're using. It's sort of it's like a database. It's like an online database. We're using our repository for that. It's part of that also, where it not only collects ideas, but it also is a great online resource to house information. We are creating, and I know I'm taking a ton of time, an idea platform. We have one right now, but it's not under our control. So we have, and I'm not sure how other states work, but CalHR, which is our Department of Human Resources for California, they have a program and that we're required to participate in, but it's not our program. So we actually are creating, through Innovation Station, we're creating an idea submission platform, so employees can randomly put in an idea that they have, and it needs to be a vetted idea, in that they have their problem statement, they have their problem, and then also a workable solution that they're offering to this. And so we are kicking that off. That's probably not going to be for a few more months, and we do have a formal review process that we've made through the ITAC and through the Innovation Leadership Council, and then and a process to hopefully get towards implementation. We have events. We have an Innovation Expo that we are doing every other year. We did our first one in 2020, and it was a success, and it's just a showcase of our employees and their innovations. And that was really fun. It was, we had no idea what to expect all that. We did a call for presentations, and we got about 100. And so we broke those down into sessions, and it was over a 5-day period. And now we just planned ours for November of 2022, and it'll be a 2-day, and we're about to do our call for presentations for that one. And that's, just a way to showcase our employees. Everyone loves to see that. So we do have a research implementation program with our research implementation engineer that's kicking off. They are writing guidance and process for research and to implementation. We have performance metrics, which I have in here, but I think I'm just going to run through real quick. And then, which I have some slides on that, but I don't think we have too much time to go over them. But yeah, we have draft performance metrics right now, and just talking about the innovation community is really important for a strong program. Is we have our leadership council or technical advisory committee, liaisons. We have Sacramento State, and then we also are involved in several national and state innovation committees through TRV and AASHTO. which is really very helpful. It's great knowledge sharing. Next page, please. We just put on a class for middle managers. We know that we have support from the top, and we know our employees are innovative. So our issue, which we've kind of identified, is kind of middle management. We need them to allow their employees to be innovative and to give them time. So then we want to teach them how to foster that environment within their own offices. So we just piloted a class for Leaders Tool for Innovation Creativity, and so far we had 25 people in the class, and it was lots of great feedback. So we are excited to present that, and we'll roll that out to all of CalTrans districts. But so far we've just had just one class so far. Next page. You know, we can just look on the screen. We have, because I don't want to take too much time on this, because I know I've been talking a long time. So this is kind of our inputs. These are our performance metrics, our inputs, percent of workforce time, percent of leadership time, and number of employees that submitted ideas in the past year will kind of be some metrics. Next page. And outputs, our return on investment is number of new products introduced, number of new products implemented, and amount of savings from products and processes introduced. Next page, please. And our outcomes, really tying it in and to make the strong program, which I'll talk next, is to identify, to use these innovations to actually connect them to items on our CalTrans risk registry, and then also hitting our CalTrans strategic goals. Next slide. We are currently researching a few more things. We're trying to identify risk-taking. We are looking into creating sort of an online, a virtual innovation sandbox, and we're actually going private, and our IT, our head of IT is involved in the ITAC. He's our vice chair. In ILC, he's our vice chair, and he's working with Verizon, Accenture, and a couple different companies to talk about their sandboxes and how we can implement something like that, on our government side here at CalTrans. So that's exciting to have that. And then we're also working on an innovation readiness assessment to kind of assess our innovation maturity and where we need to go from here. So we have a big brainstorm on February 10th where we're going off site, and we're going to really look at where we want to go with innovation, where we are, and how we can get there, and which we plan to develop an innovation survey after that, through that discussion, and kind of a work plan on how we're going to get there. All right, next page. Okay, and just to identify, since my discussion here was kind of to talk about a strong program, I sat down and with a couple of people, and we kind of talked about what we thought is a strong program, what needed. And so our strong innovation leadership council, and whatever you want to call your council or your committee, but just a strong council for us having that executive leadership, or the executives be our vice chair and our chair. That has been crucial because they are that voice that gets heard. So having that strong council has really been important and has really changed us. And then tying innovations to strategic goals in the risk registry. That is CalTrans and all organizations have strategic plans and goals that they want to hit. So by showing that these innovations that our employees are creating and how they directly connect to a strategic goal is great for CalTrans. It's to showcase everything that we're meeting our goals, and so that's important. And then we also have a risk registry for CalTrans, things that are risk, things that need to be worked on, and things that we need to consider. And so by tying those innovations into the risk registry also really helps reduce that risk, which obviously is great for CalTrans. Institutional and innovation is important, and we're still trying to figure out how we're doing that. But all these steps and all these things that we're doing is really trying to create a long-lasting program. So we need to start, like these innovation liaisons, and we need, some some districts are creating innovation positions. And so really kind of working with, making it a just, a just normal innovation is important, at CalTrans is important, and kind of figuring out how to institutionalize that and just making it a basic, thing for CalTrans. So active communication and committees is important. Incentives and showcasing opportunities, I think, is really what employees get to see and share what they've been working on, and I think that's so important. And then providing tools and definitely following through on what you say you're going to do, and on any ideas that have been submitted, I think is really important. And I think that's it. Yeah. So if there's my contact information, feel free to reach out. And I can see questions coming in.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we'll have our ADOT producer friends read them off at your discretion, folks.
Okay. So it looks like I think you already answered the question earlier in the presentation. So we're going to go to Lita. Since improvement innovation ideally should be considered as being part of the work, how does the difficulty with your leadership management apparently seeing this is being part or separate from the work affect and alter your effort?
Let me think of how to answer that question or what it really means. I mean, I'm not sure of the question. I mean, I guess, yes, we all, have work that, but it's something that we should be considering, but it's not something that everyone considers, and I think so much in government, especially we're so large that everyone has roles and they do it and they do it and they do it and they keep doing the same thing. So by trying something different is being innovative, and it's not really, and I think that while that is kind of part of their job, it's not always expected out of them for all positions. So we do, if we can identify, and even if it is part of their job, if they have created something that is new and that is a better way of doing it, then we want to showcase and highlight, and we want to identify it, and then we also want to share that with other districts and parts of CalTrans. So and I haven't ran into a problem at all where they're saying that it's not an innovation, it's just part of their job. We haven't run into that at all, and we don't, yeah, I mean, it hasn't been an issue for us, and it doesn't really alter anything for us. We just want to capture those innovations and highlight.
All right, and then it looks like Mary Ann is interested in your leadership class for middle management curriculum. That's definitely an important group to reach.
Yes, that's we're using our contract with Sac State on that. I'll see if I can get an agenda. I know I can't get the class just yet. We're piloting it. It's not final, but it's yeah. So far, we really like it. I sat in on the first one, and the next one is February 1st, I think, and it's been. I think it's a great resource, and we've heard so much that so much great feedback just to help middle managers be creative and foster the environment. So I agree that that's a really important target for us to hit.
All right, and then it looks like Benny has some data on ADOT training for our leadership levels. And then we have a question from Robin. How engaged is the innovation team at each step of the way? Wondering how much is self-guided by the group that generated the idea, or do you need to lead them through the process?
Yeah, we lead them through the process. Well, we're going to lead them through the process. That is our plan. We don't, since we're really, our ideation, I'm trying to think. In the past, we collected ideas and then we moved them towards their subject matter expert for implementation or for connection with a subject matter expert. But with our new program that we will be releasing, there is a process to implementation within our team. So we will work that pipeline for them, push it from, for at least until we get to implementation. So the idea, will pass several kind of votes of approval to move to the next level to finally get to actual implementation. And we'll push that through. And then once we get to implementation, then they'll work with a subject matter expert and develop a work plan for implementation at that time. And then we'll monitor it, but we won't, and track it, but we won't be part of that process. But until it gets there, we will manage that pipeline ourselves on our team.
Wonderful. And then it just looks like Corey is also interested in that curriculum as well.
Okay.
That's all the questions I see, Gary.
Do we have some, I think we had a few left over for Amanda from VTrans. Can we pull back some of those back up also?
Yeah.
And Amanda, again, appreciate your presentation. Pauline, appreciate your presentation. Interesting how DOTs are engaged in the innovation space together, and the similarities and differences in approaches.
Okay, Amanda, we have a question from Lita. Do you consult with the private sector? Some organizations have a great deal of experience with this.
That's a great question. I mean, so do we consult with? No, we don't have any formal relationships with anyone in the private sector, but I will say that our research and review of best practices and materials and examples isn't limited only to government. In fact, there's probably a lot more information about innovation and employee engagement around innovation in the private sector, although I've found a lot of innovation support from this network. So I would say no, we don't really have any formal relationships, but we're very open to collecting ideas that don't come from government.
All right, and then we also have a question from Justin. What's your plan for training employees so they have a basic problem identification and problem solving competency? Employees often know something is an issue, but might not always know the best approach to solving it, or have limited ideas based on lack of training, exposure, etc.
Yeah, another really good question. And I think this is a challenge that we all face. So we do have part of our larger scope outside of just the program itself. When we think about the work that my team is responsible for, we are also currently developing a plan that includes some education, networking, and collaboration opportunities for employees within AOT specifically. And my unit would be able to offer some of those development opportunities to our partners in AOT. And so this could certainly be included within that, and likely would be in terms of some of the content. That said, I also think that it's really important to not create barriers for employees. So I definitely don't want to create a perception that an employee idea that is, very much in its infancy, that maybe isn't that well developed, or this employee doesn't have a great deal of training around problem solving and things like that, that would somehow prevent them from submitting a good idea. Like, I don't believe that at all. And that's definitely not how we want our program to be set up. We really want that grassroots involvement. And we have employees of, varying educational background, skill sets, and some of them are very engaged in training and professional development, and some of them aren't. And we want all of their collaboration and ideas. So I think we're going to do our best to offer that, but we're going to get ideas from the range.
All right, and then we have looks like Marianne's interested in reaching out to you, which I think is on this slide. Here we go. So there's their contact information. And then we also have a question from Vinny. As you collect ideas, are you also encouraging folks to use PDCA to come up with potential solution ideas? that is assessing for root cause before offering ideas. Our challenge has been to build robust problem solving.
Yeah. The Plan, Do, Check, Act is definitely a part of our repertoire. It's embedded in a lot of the conversations that we have with people. I do think that, providing some coaching and guidance is something that my team can offer. I don't know how in depth we'll get with each idea submission. I think it probably is going to depend widely on how many we get and the different types of ideas that we get. So I think that in general, we encourage folks to use these methodologies, that we try to offer opportunities to have conversations and provide education. But I agree that, robust problem solving is a challenge, and I don't think it's one that, you have alone. I share that challenge.
Wonderful. It looks like we're all caught up with questions. Gary?
That's great. I also don't want to pass by the compliments. Patrick said great presentation to Amanda, and I think that's in several of the comments from both presenters. That's great. We are transitioning now into our open forum part of the conversation. Amanda and Pauline are continuing to be here, and this is really where we can talk to each other. I do encourage you to unmute. If you can't unmute, feel free to use the chat pane. This is a great place to share successes. Your success at improving something or some approach might actually be somebody else's current challenge or problem or issue. So we learn from each other, and we can actually sometimes help cut down the amount of time it takes to develop something by learning from each other. Additionally, there's time for additional questions for our presenters or anybody else online. There's a lot of topics that come up pretty frequently: approaches to process improvement, measurement, some of those kind of things, and we're glad to have the ongoing conversation about that. So this is really your time. Who wants to go first with successes, questions, issues, challenges, etc.? Go ahead and unmute or put that information in the chat pane. And by the way, there are some very nice comments coming in from Washington, from Ontario, other places, here in Colorado, for all of our presenters, and you can see those in the chat pane.
If you're afraid to talk over one another, there's also a raise hand feature in our meeting. It's right next to the closed caption button. So you're able to raise your hand, and then we will call on you, and you can unmute yourself, just like Vinny. Perfect. Go for it.
So this is less of a question than just some sharing, if you permit me. So at ADOT, so we've been on this journey since 2016, establishing a lean culture. So we call our innovation, our idea platform, the Kaizen Challenge. And I totally appreciate where Pauline and Amanda are coming from. We considered a whole bunch of things. Doesn't mean we have it figured out. We considered a platform and get ideas submitted and have councils and all those are valid ideas, right? I just want to share in our experience as 5 years in terms of our challenge. So we've got over 35,000 Kaizens tracked and established, documented. So that means it's an idea that's been implemented and standardized. I could tell you we're struggling to get great ROI measurements on that. How much has moved the needle? So I totally appreciate what you guys are going to measurement. That's been a gap for us. Like, how much has that changed the business? It's hard to tell. I think what we're successful in is that we ask all 3,600 employees to do 2 a year. We've hit that target a couple of times, fallen off on other times. That's how we've gotten to 35,000. And we really encourage the frontline manager, the direct supervisor, to be involved in coaching that instead of we focus on trying to eliminate administration with challenges related to that. So I just wanted to share that. I mean, there's wins and losses, but people, can explain Kaizen in a much better way 5 years later. And we've got some great low cost, highly effective Kaizens, especially in the transportation group, how they stripe the roads, how they fill buckets, and saving lots and lots of time. So I just wanted to share that. We're always interested in sharing through on a conversation, but totally understand how you guys are approaching it. We went a direction, and it's had some successes and has some challenges.
I love
Thanks,
that you
Vince.
shared that you challenged your workforce, to submit to a year. That's really interesting, and I can see where that would really boost your numbers.
But but we're focused on less on compliance than actual learning. So that comes with it. And then leaders can set individual goals above that, and some do. But as an agency wide, that's our metric.
All right, it looks like Justin has a comment in the chat. We have had a lot of success adding Excel and Power BI trainings into our repertoire, in addition to managing professional learning communities around tech tools. It's a great addition to our standard CI trainings, as it provides very tangible skills which can be instantly used. Nigel?
Hi, I just thought to point out that the AASHTO is doing a couple of workshops on research on performance measurement on February the 2nd and March the 30th. And you go to the TPM website, that if anyone's interested in giving ideas for research on performance measurement, you can participate in those workshops. I'll post in the chat.
Thanks, Nigel.
Justin?
Yeah, I guess I can add a little bit more information to my comment. So we've been doing continuous improvement / lean trainings for years, and we've made a number of changes of those to make it so people can more directly apply the concepts to their everyday work. But what we found was that staff were still limited by their own knowledge, skills, and capabilities. They didn't know what they didn't know. And so we saw that there was potential for a lot of improvement in the Microsoft Office space, because we're a Microsoft suite. We use all those tools every day. And when we looked at something like the active daily users of some of these products, we realized, wow, there's like 6,000 Excel users on a daily basis in state government within Vermont out of roughly 8,000 or 9,000. And so we're like, gosh, that's a great opportunity for small scale improvement for people to do more with the tools that they currently have. So we started providing those trainings, and those have been amazing. People have gotten so much out of those, and it's just a nice corollary with all of the lean training that we're doing, because people can then take the concepts that we've been talking about many times in theory, but also practical, but then apply them using some of the technological tools that they have right at their fingertips that they didn't know that it could do certain things. So just to add a little more context to that.
Thanks, Justin. As they used to say on old radio shows, the lines are open, listeners. Go ahead and unmute, share your successes, add in questions and comments. If you can't do that, please add them into the chat pane. Raising your hand is a great feature off of Google Meet also. The lines are open.
Gary,
Yes.
this is Lita. I just was reflecting on what Justin was just talking about. Years and years and years ago in the state of Maine, we established a required assessment of all state employees and developed a program, which, by the way, was quite successful, of a very, very brief hands-on test for computer skills, program skills. And and it was done because one of the things we had been finding was that people coming in knew how to do the usual social stuff. But coming into an office, what we were seeing was that they didn't have experience with programs that they would be using in their work, such as Excel and all of that, all of that office suite. And we developed a training program. We had statewide people who were the assessors as part of their work. And the program, and eventually even started extending this to our vendors, offering that training to our vendors in the private sector. And the program was up and running, was working really well. And then and I don't know how to phrase this nicely, a deputy commissioner ended the whole entire program that was working because he said anyone coming in already knew everything they needed to know about computers, and it was totally unnecessary to teach them any of those additional skills. But if anybody's interested in any of those materials, we still have them archived.
Yeah, Lita, that'd be great. And let me jump in here. First of all, thanks, Lita, for being here. Many of you know that Transportation Lean Forum has been around since June of 2012. We had our first audio teleconference, 3 states, and that was Tennessee, Colorado, and Maine. I looked at the attendance list today. I saw Greg Spratley from Tennessee, who was on that first call. Hi, Greg. And Lita, of course. And Lita's way too modest. Lita ran a terrific effort for the state of Maine called Bend the Curve, if I remember, Lita, correctly. Terrific stuff. And if you still have some of that material, we would love to have that, and we would love to post it on the Lean Interchange website, if that's available, Lita.
Oh, of course it is. And we can post it to where we can do, what we can do is post a link on the Continuous Improvement Lean Collaborative's website and make that available to everyone. I can send it to you, Gary, and you can ship it out.
That'd be fabulous. Thank you, Lita. And again, thank you for your continued involvement over what's almost a decade now.
Longer, 2005.
You've been promoting improvement much longer than that, but for the Transportation Lean Forum, you were in that very first session back in June 2012. Yes. So thank you for your continued engagement.
Of course.
And Greg, same thing to you. Thank you for your continued engagement from Tennessee. Jason has a note in here, trying to look for new internal communication functions at the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure there in the province of New Brunswick, looking for effective examples of employee newsletter communications. Would really appreciate them being shared if possible. So if you have some stuff, folks, please do share with Jason. Again, if we can post even examples that you might have on the Lean Interchange website for Transportation Lean Forum, we would be glad to do that. And of course, you can send them right to Jason. Jason does have his address in there. All right, great conversations. Great conversations. We have time for some more conversation. Who wants to unmute or put something in the chat pane? Who wants to go next? The lines are open.
Okay.
For open forum, going. All right, sold. And robust stuff. Appreciate everybody's willingness to chip in from the chat pane. If you have some stuff relating to newsletters, that's great. Get that to New Brunswick, or we will post it on the Lean Interchange website. Lita, looking forward to getting your material, and we'll post that. Friends from ADOT, if you could go on to the next slide. We have a little bit more here, including our every other month webinars are part of what we're trying to do with Lean Interchange. I'm sorry, with the Transportation Lean Forum. Our Lean Interchange website is another place. It's a repository of the presentations from the 9.5 years that we've been around, and lots of other good information. The recordings, the presentations are there. You see the website, and you do see the QR code that takes you to the same place on your cell phone. And of course, we'll post these on the so that everybody can have these after the session also. Next. Part of that Lean Interchange website includes not just the recordings, but some resources, some tools that are available out there, and a library of state, we call them state resources, but it's really state and province and agency resources, since we have folks across North America and into Europe also. And actually the state resource is hard to tell on that slide, but it's actually organized by state or by province or by organization. So you'll certainly see Colorado in there, Arizona, Highways England, New Brunswick, really good stuff out there. In today's session, and I don't know everybody, but I know we have people from Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Iowa, Maine, Nebraska, New Brunswick, New Hampshire, New York, Ontario, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, and Washington State. And I probably missed a few. And everybody has, over the years, been contributing to the state resources. Those are available to everybody in the Transportation Lean Forum also. Next. We do have recordings of the previous sessions, and this one will be is being recorded and will be added to that archive on the Lean Interchange website. Next. There are also monthly newsletters. Thank you to the crew of interns here at CDOT that put together those newsletters, and everybody who contributes to those newsletters. You get those through your email box each month. And you're also, they also are archived in the previous TLF newsletters part of the Lean Interchange website. Next. And we also have a LinkedIn group. We can post things just like any place in LinkedIn. It works just like any other LinkedIn group. Now, if you're not a member, I encourage you to join. All right, next. And all that's leading up to a poll. I'm going to turn it over to our ADOT friends to talk about the poll.
Hi there. In an effort to keep this information and track to see how you're utilizing it and how it's working out for you, we do have some polls on if you have utilized the TLF library and or resources. Also, have you viewed any of the TLF recorded sessions? And have you read any of the TLF newsletters? Now, all of that is in a poll that has launched. There's a little pop-up that shows up at the bottom of your screen. If for some reason you missed the pop-up, you'll click on the Shapes button on the bottom right corner below the chat, and then you'll select polls and just go ahead and respond to those. We would love to get the input from you guys. And then we can track to see how that's going. Since there were some other polls, there's going to be some questions at the top. And then did you want me to read out how it's going, Gary, or are you able to see that? You're muted.
You know, on our internet age, you're muted is probably one of the most frequently frequent sentences for me. I even have a little sticky note that says, please unmute yourself, Gary. So yes, please do read out responses that you have. We'll keep the polls open for a minute here. It's one of the things we, of course, as part of continuous improvement, we always want to ask how we're doing and how we can do better, and that's true for Transportation Lean Forum also. So go ahead, friends, and read things out.
We got some responses coming in. I do see that there's about 30 of us in here. So if you do have an opportunity to reply to that, that would be great. Looks like we have about 17, 18 votes so far. It looks like we have 11 that have utilized the library and its resources. And we have about 9 that state that they have not viewed any of the recorded sessions. But everyone seems to be reading the newsletters.
And go ahead and take a few minutes. We'll close out the poll in just a moment or two. Vinny, that's probably a great idea. In the future, we can conduct those polls at the beginning of the session and then leave them open during the entire session. Great suggestion.
I'm writing that down.
All right, that's great. And we'll share out some of those responses on the Lean Interchange website to let folks know about the responses. And oh, and Marianne, you have a note in there. Is there a directory? No, there isn't. Interestingly enough, there is not a directory. We do have a map where we pinpoint the various states, provinces, and other agencies in Europe that are have members, but we don't actually have a directory. So an interesting thought. And ADOT friends, if you could note that, and we can take that into a planning session for Transportation Lane Forum. There is a steering group for Transportation Lane Forum, and we will definitely pull that into that. All right, thanks again for participating in the poll. ADOT friends, if you go next. We are, as I mentioned, we're about 9.5 years in. We're in the middle of our 10th year of the Transportation Lane Forum. Started out with a 3-state video or audio teleconference back in June of 2012, and we'll have a decade under our belts later on this year. We do have another session. We're going every other month with sessions, and of course have the website and newsletters to connect between sessions. It's in March 2022. We always aim for a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And we're in the process of recruiting speakers, and we schedule the sessions to start at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, which usually allows people from all the way from Alaska through Sweden to participate during the business day. We will announce that exact date and the speakers very soon. If you want to be a presenter, please do drop me a line, and we'd be glad to work you into the rotation of presentations for our wonderful community of practice. Next. A big shout out and thank you to Amanda from VTrans, Pauline from CalTrans, and the wonderful group there in the Office of Continuous Improvement at ADOT that produced the session. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next. And thank you to everybody who participated today. Communities of practice are a wonderful way for us to support each other in the pursuit of making our transportation agencies more effective, efficient, and customer focused. And we appreciate your participation. If you have any other notes, please do feel free to drop me a line or any of the producers today. And let's close out our session. I see all these wonderful notes about great presentations. Again, we have wonderful presenters, and we will continue this into the rest of 2022 and beyond. Thank you, folks. Let's ring off for today.
Thank you.
Before all of you leave, I do appreciate your time. We are going to send out a survey just to see how the presentation was and how the delivery material was. If you could anticipate that and reply to that, it will come through email. It is a Google form, and we would really love your input.
Great, appreciate that. Thank you, everyone.